Welcome to the video rules for Banditos from Baksha Games. The game designer is Sean Scott Garrity. Copyright Baksha Games 2012. And let's just dive into the rules. We're going to start setting up with the blue-backed cards, these ones here. They are your characters and the character starting stuff and the gas tanks. So we're going to use Granny here as our example. And everyone has to take a gas tank, and Granny, it says on her card there, starts with a 75 Norton, so we'll give that to her there. Now everyone's going to take the two cubes of their choice. One of them goes into Granny's starting city, which in her card says Corpus Christi, so there she is, and the other one is going to go on her gas tank. And everyone generally is going to start it empty, except that whenever you start with a vehicle, any time you acquire a vehicle through any means, you get a quarter of a tank of gas to start with. I should mention that as errata, the cleaner is supposed to start with a .45 automatic handgun, but due to a printing error, the starting stuff has a 9mm Browning automatic. Unfortunately for the cleaner, he doesn't get his favorite type of gun, but they do exactly the same thing, so you're going to give him the 9mm instead of a .45. Now we're going to discuss the green-backed cards. These are the Nuevo Pesos, the object of the game. You get these when you pull off a heist. They come in denominations of 10,000 Nuevo Pesos and 15,000 Nuevo Pesos. Unfortunately, due to our second out of two printing mistakes, the 10,000 Nuevo Pesos are supposed to say 10 million, and the 15,000 are supposed to say 15 million. Although it is a mistake, the math is easy, and you're going to have to get to 100,000 Nuevo Pesos back to your hometown in order to win the game. The first type of the red-back cards we're going to talk about is the seed money. They come in denominations of 10, 20, 50, and 100. When you draw money from the pile, it immediately goes face up in front of you. You're going to use the seed money to pay for vehicles, you're going to pay for inside information, weapons, all those types of things, and for trading with other players. You can pay for two or more things at once. So for example, if you have a $30 weapon that you want to buy and $20 in gas, you can use a $50. However, if you just wanted to buy a $30 weapon and you've already got a full tank of gas, you would never get change for your seed money. All of your change is always spent on beer and burritos. Our second type of redback card is the weapons. Now you can have bladed weapons like the combat knife or the machete, or you can have firearms like the Webley 45 or the 12-gauge shotgun here. The difference between the combat knife and the machete is that this one is concealable and this one is not concealable. And again, the Webley is concealable, but the 12-gauge shotgun is not. We'll find out where that's important when we talk about vehicles. Each of them has a cost that you have to pay out of your seed money in order to play them from your hand and get them down onto the table in play. Our next type of redback card are the vehicles. And there are basically three types of vehicles. You've got cars, you've got motorcycles, and you've got motorcycles with sidecars. The important distinction here is that cars and motorcycles with sidecars can handle the double character cards, for example the Knickknacks or Misty and Guido. They can't go on a single motorcycle. The other reason it's important is because if you're on any type of motorcycle, you can't have an unconcealable weapon. If you've got an unconcealable weapon like a shotgun or a sword, you have to have a car. Otherwise you can't drive around with it. So each of these cards, again, $250 or $450, has a cost that you have to pay from your seed money in order to play it from your hand to get it down on the table into play. Each of the vehicles also has a move number, which we'll get into a little bit later when we talk about board movement. They have a speeding number, and they have a gas cost and a trade value. We'll get to move and speeding in a minute. But the gas cost is how much it's going to cost you to get gas for your vehicle. For example, this Harley here says gas cost $10 for 3. Okay, the $10 / 3 means that for $10 you can get 3/4 of a tank of gas. As opposed to the Chevy Nova here that says for $20 you can get 3/4 of a tank of gas. Again, you'll never get change for your seed money. And later in the instructions when we talk about heat, if you've got a vehicle with a lot of heat on it and you want to trade it in, you can do that. You've got a trade-in value. So this Harley Davidson here would have a trade-in value of $250 towards a new vehicle if you want to play a new vehicle out of your hand that costs $400, say, and you trade this Harley Davidson in, you would get $250 of your $400 that you need, and you'd have to pay an extra $150 in seed money in order to put the new vehicle in play with no heat on it. However, if you're trading in your Harley and you've got a vehicle in your hand that only costs $200, you're not going to get the $50 in seed money extra. It's going to work out to be an even trade-in. Here we have a couple of inside information cards. Now, inside information is specific to a particular city, in this case Monterey, and there's a cost that you have to pay in order to get it played out of your hand and onto the table where you can use it. Inside information is really going to do two things for you. One is it's going to potentially give you a better payout in how many Nuevo Peso cards that you're going to get for your heist. The other thing it's going to do is it's going to help you with lowering the roll that you're going to need to be successful in a heist. But we'll talk about heists in a minute. Now here we have a fortunate event and an unfortunate event card. You can play these at any time, not necessarily on your turn. You can play those any time that it's appropriate to the card. For example, this unfortunate event card here makes someone else speed. So once someone declares that they're going to be moving and they pick up their little wooden piece to move, you can say, oh, by the way, you're speeding, and you can play your card down. Fortunate events, for the most part, you're going to play in yourself, so they will be on your turn. Diversions are cards that you're going to play just before you do a heist, and they are going to help you with your roll on your heist. And our final type of card is the Escape Mexican Jail card. Probably pretty self-explanatory what this does. If you fail in a heist and you go to a Mexican jail, which is what's going to happen to you, then you can use this card to escape. Now when you get into gameplay, the amount of police attention in the area, or heat, will affect your odds of doing illegal actions. And heat can come in two forms, and it's either going to be in the form of the red tokens here, the red plastic bingo chips, or as the +1 symbol on some cards. Now these symbols and tokens are cumulative, and each one is going to increase the roll needed to do an illegal action by 1. Now conversely, the red circle with an X through it that you find on diversions and inside information and double characters will offset any of those heat tokens and make it easier for you to do a heist. Each time a character does an illegal action, they're going to get heat for it. For example, if Granny steals something from the discard pile, she's going to get a heat marker on her character. If she's going to steal gas, she's going to get a heat marker on her vehicle and then the full tank of gas. If she's in Matamoros and she decides she's going to pull a heist will get you heat on your character, your vehicle, and in the city where you pull the heist.